What is up, everybody? Fortexfiend here, and welcome back again to my channel, where we're going to be talking more SD Gundam G Generation Eternal. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the newest banner that went live about a few days ago, and I'm going to be essentially giving you guys my banner review. Now, this banner is quite huge in terms of a lot of the new stuff that we got. So for this video, I am only going to be covering the URs that are featured. I'm not going to be covering the numerous SSRs and some of the SRs that we got. I might have a separate video on that, but for now, we're going to focus on the stars of the show, which are the URs. As always, before I go ahead and get started with that, if you guys enjoy what you see on this channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, leave a like or dislike, and comment down below how your pulls went for this banner, what you think of these units and the supporter warships so far. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive right into it. So this banner features not one, not two, but 3 limited things that we can pull, and rightfully so, because this is the start of the half anniversary celebration, and this banner is quite possibly one of the strongest banners that we've seen thus far. We're going to go ahead and start right off first with that supporter warship, which is going to be Auto Midas, and this is going to be increasing the particular stats of the ace unit because this is a limited time warship. It's going to be giving a higher percentage boost to your stats compared to some of the other non-limited supporter warships. So this is definitely a contender against the current warship that has been killing it, which is One-Shot Killer. And if we take a look at ace unit, right, this is what ace unit has in its lineup. So it has not only the Burning Gundam, which is on this banner, it also has the Unicorn Destroy Mode Awakened, and I also see Strike Freedom there, which is another limited unit that we saw at the beginning of this game's launch, which is still a very, very powerful unit. It is also part of One-Shot Killer. So now we have that on this banner as on the tag as well. And then Exia is on here as well, which is another fantastic DPS unit that you can add to your roster. Now, Exia was one of those units that was definitely hyped up in the beginning. I do think that it's going to age even better now with the ace unit limited ship available. So this is definitely going to give the One-Shot Killer ship a run for its money. And once we see a Master League where ace unit is featured, you're going to really see the impact of the ship. But I do think that this ship is really strong. It is a little bit harder to pull, but if you do manage to pull it, it is definitely worth it in my opinion. Very good ship, and it has HP restoration, and we all know that HP restoration is a lot more desirable over energy restoration. Energy restoration does have its uses in specific fights, but I do think overall we want to be able to survive longer versus having a little bit more MP, because there's definitely ways around that. So excellent ship in my opinion. Okay, now we're going to take a look at Gundam F91. So Gundam F91 is going to be our non-limited unit. So this unit is going to be on future pools once this banner leaves. This unit, I would say, is solid. Nothing too crazy amazing. One of the things that it has going for it, and if we take a look at its statistics here, is it has defense that is stacking, and it's also stacking evasion and mobility and all that kind of stuff that has to do with, like, you know, evading attacks. So I think what they were trying to go for this unit is kind of like a hybrid, hyper-offensive evasion tank that could stack a lot of defense. So it's kind of trying to do everything at once as a defender unit, which is cool in theory, but there are defensive units that we currently have that I think do one or the other even better. And most of the time when you're defending, you're gonna just want it to like soak up the damage, and if it does evade, cool, but you're not relying on that evasion. But I think it's a solid unit overall. If we take a look at the skills that it has, and we're going to focus solely on its signature skills. The first one has a range of 4. So this one has absolute hit like every other EX attack, weapon damage, weapon attribute damage reduction null. It decreases special weapon power by 35%, which is awesome because a lot of the more powerful skills, especially for PvP, is going to be a special weapon. So that's always something to take note of there. Very good debuff. And then its other skill that is very strong that also has a range of 4 decreases beam weapon power. So that combination of decreasing beam weapon and special weapon is definitely a good combination because a lot of the more powerful attacks tend to be one or the other or both. We are starting to see a little bit more like melee or range and things like that, but definitely having this combination is pretty solid for this unit. It also has really good terrain capabilities, as we see right there. It has shield mechanism, which is always fantastic. And then one of the things that it has going for it that I think is really good is the flexibility of tags. UC series, Gundam, Protagonist, Saikamu, all of these tags essentially have something going for it, and it's also easy to build, like, let's say your party in terms of like Eternal Road or in terms of what type of ship that you have available. So I think this unit has a lot of flexibility. It's not necessarily the best that we've seen in terms of a defensive unit, but it has a lot of flexibility. It has little bits and pieces of things that give it some versatility, but it doesn't necessarily do things better than some of the other units that are more focused on like defense. Now, in terms of its pilot, and I did pull this unit, so we do have to look at this unit's pilot from the screen, and forgive the levels because I ran out of character upgrades, so I wasn't able to get Seabrooks Arno all the way up to level 100, but he has good reaction and good awaken. So again, they're trying to go for that hyper offensive evasion style tanking, but with added defense as well, which I think is kind of cool. He doesn't have double support, which is unfortunate. His abilities is he gets an increase in his defense when he's supporting. He has increased own awaken and reaction. Again, that reaction impacts his ability to be able to evade naturally. When he's executing support defense, he gets another defense boost. And then when he's piloting units with the EFSF, he gets an increase to his MP by 6. And he also reduces the damage that he takes by 15%. So a lot of damage mitigation in case he actually has to soak up damage. And then he has an innate potential way to evade. Now, if we take a look at his actual skills, I think his skills are pretty solid overall. HP repair is fantastic. It's always nice to have that on a defensive pilot, or any pilot for that matter, because it's added survivability. Increase MP, again, the way that I see that is kind of like that offensive capability that they're giving to this unit. And then finally, increased own accuracy and evasion, so that way his skills will actually hit. As like, other than like, let's say you attack a unit that has sway, for example. And then he also has that added evasion by 25%. So again, a unit that does little bits of different things for a defensive styled unit, can do a little bit of damage, can evade, has a lot of damage reduction and stacking defense. So all in all, solid overall. I don't think he's necessarily game breaking, but I think if you pull this non-limited defender unit, I think that it's definitely a solid addition to your team. But remember, this ain't the unit that you're chasing. So we're gonna start off with one of the two units that you're chasing, which is gonna be Unicorn Gundam. And I'm just gonna say it right now. This along with its pilot is the best supporter in the game. And one of the main reasons is not because of the stats, not because of the skills, although the skills, we got a map skill and we got a 2 range 5 skills for a support, which is fantastic. But the fact that if this unit is being used by its signature pilot, when you fulfill the specific conditions, which we'll take a look at it when we look at Banagher Link, which is the pilot, you get 3 support attacks. That is fantastic. No other support unit does that right now. So this just gives this unit way more value, in my opinion, compared to some of the other support units that we have. Also has good terrain capability. It has a half reduction when you're atmospheric, but still good terrain capability. It has a shield mechanism, so it has some sort of mitigation in terms of its abilities. Its energy is increased, which is awesome. Increased attack, so it could deal a little bit more damage, even though it is a supporter unit. It has increased mobility, and then when it's being attacked by a beam range weapon, it's reducing the damage that it takes from that by 30%. And when taking damage from a special weapon, it's reducing the enemy's awaken by 50%. So it has its own way of being able to mitigate specific damage when it's going to be hit by that particular type of damage, which is awesome. So very, very good for a supporter unit. And as we see right here, it has a map attack, which applies damage taken from special weapons up by 25%. And again, a lot of the more powerful attacks are special weapons. It also has Shield Funnel EX with a range of 5, with a decent power at 6,840. Absolute hit, weapon active damage reduction null, and inflicts defense down by 35%. However, this does shoot to 40%, and we're going to get to that when we take a look at the pilot. And then finally, let's see here, we have Beam Magnum, which has a decent power. You also have Shield Funnel, which again, nice range on that. And then afterwards, we have the standard melee attack. And if we take a look at this unit's tags, I mean, we got Ace Unit, we got Protagonist, we got Saikamu, we got Unstoppable. very, very flexible in terms of tags. So all in all, it just goes to show that when it comes to these limited time units, especially this is a half anniversary unit, they really went all out in terms of making it very, very powerful and kind of like giving us that next level of supporting type of power for that type of a unit. Okay, Banagher Links, the signature pilot, starts off with double support, which is always nice. Take a looking at his abilities. So he reduces his own weapon energy consumption by 25 when he's doing support attack. Would have been nice to increase his attack, but hey, nothing wrong with that. Increases his own accuracy and evasion, which is awesome. And then afterwards, he gets an additional support attack. And if his vigor is supercharged or higher, he gets another one. 3 support attacks. No one else does that right now. And then as you can see right here, when he's piloting his own unit, which they've been going with that theme of like having a pilot use its own unit, he's going to be improving his decreased defense weapon effects by 5%. So that defense down of 35% is now at 40%. And if you think about it, sure, it doesn't sound like it's significant, but 40% defense reduction, it'll go a long way once you put it into practice. So very, very strong. In terms of his actual skills, I think they gave him save energy to kind of balance him out because he's already so strong. He also has attack burst and awaken boost, which awaken is his highest hitting skill is of awaken. So it gives him a way to kind of increase the amount of damage he deals. And when it comes to supporter units, really the most important factor is the debuffs. But if you can somehow increase their damage without having to like pull for dupes, then might as well give him that, right? Very, very good. And he already has good range on his own unit's more important skills. It has up to 5 range. So the positioning is there when it comes to setting up those multiple chain attacks. So all in all, excellent unit. Best supporter unit so far. If you pull even just one copy, you got a lot of value right there. You don't even need dupes because this unit is very, very strong for a support. Last but not least, we're going to talk about what a lot of you guys came to this banner for, which is the Burning Gundam. What can I say? Burning Gundam, if you manage to get everything all maxed out, I mean, even at level, even just his own EX skill, has the highest weapon power skill in the game at 8,280. That's just at base. And then the closer you are to the enemy, the greater the weapon power, up to a 20% increase. That's massive. There's no other unit with an attack power that high. It also has an innate 15% critical, so it has a 15% chance to critical. And if it crits, whatever it touches is probably going to die. This attack is extremely strong, albeit it does consume 5 MP, but when we take a look at the pilot, that doesn't even really matter. And there's ways for this pilot to keep its MP in check, so that way you can constantly spam this. And I know the range of 3 might be concerning, but when we get to Domon, you'll see why that doesn't even really matter. He also has Burning Finger, which has a respectable power of 5,760, and also has maximum range of 5, which is always nice. He has Sekiha Tenkyoken, which has a range of 4, and the lower his HP, the greater the weapon power, which is always nice. Again, very in-your-face unit, but also has some ranged capabilities. Erupting Burning Finger has a respectable power, and Burning Slash also has respectable power as well. In terms of his abilities, increased attack, you're stacking more attack. Increase attack again when vigor is max or higher, and when the enemy attacks from 4 spaces or more, get this, reduce damage taken by 30%. So you know all those Hainu Gundams, Strike Freedom, Sazabis, because, you know, as of right now, before this unit came out, range damage or being able to deal damage at range was definitely more superior, because if you could stay outside of an enemy's range, especially for like Master League or PvP, you don't get counterattack. But the thing is, if you do that on Burning Gundam, it reduces the damage taken by 30%. And I know the question right now is, well, what about weapon attribute damage nullification null? Doesn't that affect that? The thing is, unless I'm wrong on this, I don't think that affects that, because it says reduce damage. It's not mentioning a specific damage type. And again, if you guys, if I'm wrong on that, let me know, because this is my first SD Gundam game that I've played. But the way that I interpret that is that it shouldn't affect that, because it's not mentioning a specific weapon type damage. But that is essentially, this unit is like an anti-meta if we're talking about meta, right? Because range damage tends to be very popular, but this unit wants you to get in close, because once you do get in close, well, you're in for a rude awakening when it hits you with its most powerful skill. And the tags on this unit is also fantastic. It has Ace Unit, Unstoppable, Protagonist, Alternative, Gundam. It also has Meikyo Shisui, which we don't have a ship for that right now, but eventually I'm sure we will. So it has some pretty good tags there as well. Even if you miss out on Ace Unit ship, Unstoppable is always a fantastic ship. I have the Unstoppable ship, and that's what I'm currently using with Burning Gundam. And let's see here. I believe it also has shield mechanism. Oh, wait, it doesn't have shield mechanism. That's okay, because it already has that really powerful passive that, you know, reduces damage by 30% if it's being attacked by a range of 4 or more. So very, very strong unit. I think it's contender for probably the strongest attacker in the game. In terms of its attack stat at base, it's ranked number 4 in the attacker URs, but that soars even higher when you take into account its like its conditional passive. So very, very strong unit overall. You know, definitely worthy of being a half anniversary unit. And finally, its pilot. Its pilot is extremely strong as well. Take a look at that melee stat. 896. What's more to say, right? One of the weaknesses, though, is no double chance step, but I think they did that to balance it out, because if this unit had double chance step, that's just ridiculous, right? That's one of the things that holds this unit combination back, is the no double chance step. But all in all, the amount of sheer attack power is just insane. Abilities: increase own damage dealt by 20%. If he's piloting Meikyo Shisui, and this is why that MP cost doesn't really matter at that. Actually, no, it's the other passive. So when he's piloting a unit of Meikyo Shisui, he already has an increase of MP by 6, so you already have access to his EX skill, and it also increases his reaction by 50%. So the ability to naturally evade essentially is increased, which is awesome. And then when piloting his own unit, which they've been incentivizing, that reduces weapons MP consumption by 2. So essentially that EX now only costs 3. So if he's piloting his own unit, which he should be, you can already use that skill twice. And if he's piloting a unit with national representatives, he's increasing damage dealt to enemy and also reducing the damage that he takes by 15%, which gives him more damage mitigation, which for a hyper offensive unit, that is awesome. And finally, his skills. I think his skills is a fantastic combination. Really goes to show why he's like a martial artist and everything. But he has MP up, which helps with the whole MP, you know, the conditional passives that he has. He also has melee boost, which increases his melee, which his strongest attack is melee. So if he touches you with this passive, you go bye-bye. And then he has a backup plan in case his HP is low with Sway. So he has a way to be able to survive. So that way you can get him to safety or maybe get a heal in and make sure that he survives. But all in all, I think Domon and Burning Gundam is a definite contender for being one of the strongest, if not the strongest, attacker in the game. Do I think he's the best? This is where it could get a little controversial. I personally think that I put a slight more value on Hainu and Strike Freedom. And hear me out on this. They're just really, really strong when it comes to range damage. And I know that Domon counters that, but that only really matters in PvP. When it comes to the other content that we have, those units can still hold their own. They're part of really powerful tags. And I still think that they still hold just a tad bit more value, but you could make an argument that Burning Gundam is better, but they do have that double chance step with their pilots. They also do have passives that are specific to their units, but I still think that this banner is fantastic. While I'm trying to be objective and in saying that, you know, some of the other limited time attackers might have a slight bit edge just because of the type of damage that they bring and things like that, I think Burning Gundam is a definite contender for being the top attacker in the game, or if one of the top attackers in the game. But all in all, if you guys pull on this banner, I think it's a fantastic investment, whether you are a current player, whether you are a whale, whether you are a new player, or whether you are a player that doesn't spend a lot of money on the game. It's a fantastic banner. Now, I know there's speculation on, when the actual anniversary date comes out on, which is the 6 months, there might be a better banner, maybe you shouldn't pull on this banner. There's going to be something better. Here's the thing. Even if they do come out with the speculative banner where they bring back all of the UR limited units that came in the past, I still think that this banner has a lot of insane value in it. You're getting one of the best attackers, if not the best attacker in the game, with even if he doesn't have double chance step, great unit. And then you have arguably the best supporter in the game, and you also have access to a powerful warship, which rivals the current warship that has been killing it. So even if a speculative banner like that comes out, I still think that it's worth pulling on this banner. I really don't think they're going to release anything that's going to top this on that actual date. We've already had a roadmap of what's to be coming out next. And I really don't think, other than, let's say for Christmas time, they released like an Endless Waltz banner. There's a speculation on that as well. But there's no reason to skip this banner unless if you don't like any of these units at all and you're really, really saving and trying to stay disciplined for like your absolute favorite units, like for example from Gundam 00 or from Gundam Wing or whatever series that you're looking forward to. But I think this banner is worth it. If you have the resources, try your hardest to pull. Either Burning or Unicorn is going to be a very, very fantastic addition to your account. And I think you'll find you're going to have a lot of fun having these units and using them to their utmost skills, even at just one copy. You don't even need to MLB them because they're just that good. Let me know what you guys think down below. I know I talked a lot on this video. I gave you guys all my, opinions and thoughts on the units. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I missed anything or I might have not touched up on something that I missed out on these units. Again, remember, I will be reviewing the SSRs on this banner on a separate video. I'm thinking about how I'm going to structure that. It's just this banner was just so huge compared to the other ones that I didn't want this video to be too long. Thank you guys again for watching. Stay tuned for the next video and stay blessed, everybody.